Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new and very special episode of the Metal Meltdown. Perhaps one of the most special videos I've done on the Metal Meltdown ever. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, Robert, that is a bold fucking claim. You've done a lot of very special episodes of the Metal Meltdown. You've interviewed members of Gwar, Cannibal Corpse, the Black Dahlia Murder, Voivod, Halloween. You've done drinking games and live streams that have attracted thousands of people. You've collaborated with some really cool YouTubers and made a ton of really cool content. Why specifically is this video so much more special than everything else? Well, don't worry. I'll fucking tell you. All you gotta do is calm down and exercise a little bit of patience. This video is so special and so much more special than everything else because today we're talking about the fourth studio album from New York avant-garde technical blackened death metal jazz fusion crew Imperial Triumphant, Spirit of Ecstasy, one of my most anticipated albums of 2022, and yeah, spoiler alert I guess, maybe the best album I've heard all fucking year. Which is, you know, another bold claim, because we're only just past the halfway point of 2022, and we've already seen some pretty gnarly tunes from Venom Prison, Blut Usnord, Devil Master, Undeaf, and so many more. And, like, there's still a ton of new music on the way, like Behemoth and Revocation, Dead Cross, hardcore thrash metal punk rock supergroup featuring Mike Patton and Dave Lombardo. They just announced a brand new album, literally, just now. I was listening to the first single in between takes here. And it's fucking great. It's fucking fantastic. But it doesn't matter. It won't be as good as this new Imperial Triumphant album. Nothing that we've talked about or will talk about will be as good as this new Imperial Triumphant album. Because it is the best album of 2022. Am I biased? Well, yeah, honestly, sure. That's a very fair thing to point out. I will concede I am maybe extremely biased when I say all of this, because I love Imperial Triumphant. I've loved them for a while. I thought Abyssal Gods and Vile Luxury were fantastic records. I thought Alphaville was one of the best things I heard in 2020. I've interviewed members of Imperial Triumphant here on the Metal Meltdown, plus, generally speaking, I've got a soft spot for, like, weird, artsy-fartsy, over-the-top, experimental metal. So, yeah, it's very fair to say that I am extremely fucking biased. But I don't fucking care. Everything that I loved about Alphaville remains not only intact on Spirit of Ecstasy, but it appears to have been refined and amplified. It is a very abstract and provocative record dealing with a slew of complex themes and ideas, including the consequences of greed and wealth, capitalism, urban decay, nihilism, philosophy, a dystopian kind of futurism that feels weirdly rooted in the 1920s and 30s. The jazz influences are significantly more potent and prominent here than they were on Alphaville. At the same time, I would say that this is a more metal record than Alphaville, with bulkier, more muscular riffs and heavier passages and darker, gnarlier vocals. And remarkably, you have a ton of guest stars on this thing. Trumpet players, trombone players, guitar players, and producers from across the realms of rock, metal, jazz, and experimental music, all working together with Imperial Triumphant to bring their unique vision of jazz metal nonsense to life. Maximalist Scream, for instance, features Snake of Voivod fame, lending some particularly manic vocals to an incredibly chaotic, dizzying, and disjointed kind of blackened death metal monster with weird angular riffs and patterns, jazzy textures and soundscapes. It would be totally over-the-top bonkers without Snake. But the fact that he is here and the fact that he is doing what he does here just makes this all the more uneasy, all the more bizarre, and all the more fascinating. It is very easy to see not only why Imperial Triumphant released this as a promo single, the lead single for this record, but also why they closed the record with this. It's just a mind-blowingly awesome number. The second half of this track in particular is incredible. I love those aching strings and those lurching riffs and Snake's weird, menacing sneers combined with these outbursts of metallic, jazzy black metal. And that's just one fucking track. Across the album, you've got Alex Skolnick from Testament, Trey Spruance from Mr. Bungle, Yoshiko Ohara from Bloody Panda, Colin Marston, an experimental music god, known for his work with Krallice and Gorguts, but also for producing a slew of records with a slew of bands, also does some additional percussion across this record. Andromeda Anarchia, a collaborator of Zachary's in the band Folter Kommer, makes a few appearances on this thing as well, with some wailing operatic vocals. You have a slew of accomplished jazz musicians showing up across the record as well, including Ben Hankel, J. Walter Hawks, even Kenny fucking G shows up to play soprano saxophone on Mercurius Gilded, which even by the standards of Imperial Triumphant is one hell of a fucking achievement. One of the most what the fuck things I think I've ever seen on a record, and I love every second of it. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need Kenny G to record with more experimental black and death metal bands way more often. It's an absolute masterclass display of sophisticated improvisational jazz, emboldened by some of the most chaotic and brutal kind of avant-garde black and death metal I've heard this year. God, and we've only really scratched the fucking surface here. This is the tip of the motherfucking iceberg, and the rest of the iceberg, she a doozy. This the motherfucker that sank the Titanic. Chump Change, for instance, opens up the record with an absolutely insane display of schizophrenic muscular riffery that will have even the most extreme of music connoisseurs pissing their pants. Then there's Tower of Glory, City of Shame, which has this absolutely incredible, bombastic, cinematic size and scope and scale, almost akin to that of like a symphonic black metal band. Like, this feels like Imperial Triumphant's take on something totally over the top from like Emperor or Dimmu Borgir. And sandwiched in between all of this, you have In the Pleasure of Their Company, a full-on display of improvised, experimental jazz fusion with big fat bass lines and sensual guitar licks and trumpets and horns and keyboards. It's wild, it's sexy, it's powerful, it's carnivorous, it's fucking incredible. And then immediately following that, you have Besem Naya, one of the scariest things Imperial Triumphant have ever composed and presented. For quite a few minutes, you're listening to nothing more than painful screams and moans and ritualistic chanted vocals and what appears to be some kind of spoken word piece played backwards from an old radio. And as the track goes on, it gets louder and darker and creepier. Like, it feels like you're being swallowed whole by an abyss of pure darkness. I feel as if I'm very gradually descending into hell while listening to this song. And once I finally arrive in hell, it's packed with all the fire and brimstone and devilish apocalyptic mayhem that I could have possibly expected. Like, the sheer brutality of the latter half of this track, conceptually, sonically, would probably have even bands like Portal and Gorguts running in fear. What more can I say, folks? I've talked about almost every single fucking song on this record. I don't have a single concern, a single nitpick whatsoever. It really is a perfect record. It's unpredictable. It's wild. It's chaotic. The performances, the production, it's insane. Imperial Triumphant went above and beyond the call of goddamn motherfucking duty once again and have emerged with a record perfect. I'm going to say it again. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So fuck it. 5 out of goddamn 5. I think this is a fucking perfect record. Actually, scratch that. I don't think it's perfect. I know it's perfect. I fucking know it! I cannot fucking wait to get this on vinyl. I pre-ordered it literally the moment I could, and I can't wait to drive all my fucking neighbors crazy at 2 in the morning with this hurricane of twisted, demented, blackened, deaf, technical, avant-garde, whatever the fuck. Imperial Triumphant have somehow captured lightning in a bottle for the second time in a goddamn fucking row. Holy shit. Just go fucking listen to it. 5 out of 5. I stand by it. I don't fucking care. I love this album. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you love this record? Do you love this record? Do you love this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. Press this button right here for updates on the Metal Meltdown immediately in case you somehow aren't getting them already. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.